Well, welcome to a very special Wednesday walkabout. I don't think we have had a lovelier shoot in quite a while. The temperatures are perfect. We're shooting this in the evening and the angle of the sun is absolutely glorious. It's low, it's warm, it's golden, and it enhances the beauty of every single plant that I have in the landscape here in the front yard. Well, if I say so myself, I'm a little bit overwhelmed at its beauty with all of the pollinators here, with all of the color, with all of the greens, and with, again, just the beautiful autumn light. It's spectacular. So we've got some wonderful shots to show you, some drone shots, some up close and personal shots. Well, what do you say, Stuart?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so come on upstairs, all of you with me. The finials have been placed on the upper edges of the railing on the stairs, and shortly and hopefully we will show you some footage of what these look like when they are illuminated. They're all those solar lights, you guys, those solar tea lights. I don't have to do anything for them. They come on automatically, and already the kiddos in the neighborhood have been, I don't know which they're more delighted with, these little haunted houses at the top of the stairwell and the witches below, or I think it's definitely the pollinators are going to win out on this. I have had 3 groups just today of littles that have come by, some in their strollers, and they just come to see all of the pollinators, the moths, the butterflies, and they just sit there and look at them. It's just been an absolute delight, especially because the weather's been perfect. And one of those things that is drawing all of those pollinators are this fabulous hedge here of butterfly candy. Now, I have grown this long enough to know that my very favorite variety in this line is the little lavender. For me, I like the fact it gets a little bit taller. It blooms, I think, a little bit better in this heat, and it has simply been brilliant this year. And a note to self is I am definitely going to plant more pentas and other pollinator attractors right around it so that I get this flying wildlife that I love so much. And then Stuart, if you will slowly just raise your camera, nothing is more beautiful than these aging hydrangeas that are drying. These are all white wedding hydrangeas with some Obsession Nandina.
Oh, I see it, yeah.
That just glows from the back. One of my very, very favorite, really underused plants, because it is just glowing almost as vibrantly as that monarch butterfly's wings that just flew by. Now here's something else that, this is a surprise to me. Last year it wasn't mature enough to do this. But look at this fabulous It's a Breeze rose. I have one on both sides of the sidewalk, and it has started to turn this gorgeous blush pink along the edges.
Oh, wow,
Look at that.
I can see it now, yeah. That is crazy.
That is just a perfect autumnal quality.
You spray painted that.
Yeah, that's just a brilliant color echo.
It's too cool.
With all of the other aging whites that turn pink in the hydrangeas and things in the border. So let's stop here because I want to be very, very intentional about showing you a trio. I've shown it to you in the past, but right now it's at its very best. I will put links to these specific plants on the video because I want you to see them. And this trio has far surpassed my expectations. So that's coming up. So what I want to show you, that I've showed you many times before, I know, but that is how beautifully Lemon Lane has matured. So first of all, the fact that it flowers this time of year and attracts all of the pollinators, well, that's just a boon. In addition, look down in there, you can see the little colorful moths and things. But then what I did, which was intentional, though I hadn't done it before, so I wasn't really sure if it would actually come to fruition. And that's the beauty of planting lemon lime nandina in tandem with this gorgeous Miss Lemonabilia. And look here, it's all growing together, insinuating itself, look at this, into the foliage of the lemon lime. And it just could not be more brilliant. And this whole thing traverses this path that goes to the back. Now, let me just break for something practical. Right here, I have this hose that I love so much, and I left it out because I want to show it to you, and also because Amazon Prime Days are coming up, I think. And if it's on sale, I will definitely let you know if it's on sale on Amazon Prime, because I want another one for the other side, because it's just been wonderful. Now, Stuart, if you don't mind, come here, because I want all of you out there to see what I'm seeing. So if you get down kind of low, look at how beautifully, if we can avoid that western sun, but how gorgeous the backlighting is on this Miss Lemon, the lemon lime Nandina, this white wedding hydrangea, and then in the background, I don't know, is the glare too bad, Stuart? Okay, and then the carnation, the encore carnation, the pink in the back, azaleas. And it's just absolutely gorgeous. In fact, so gorgeous that I added another Miss Lemon in the back to fill a void that was back there, because I wanted our eyes to be able to travel all the way to the end, and eventually it will cascade. Now, you may say, well, Linda, there's a void right here, and why don't you plant something there? And my temptation would be, from a design standpoint, to put another lemon lime Nandina right in there. But I'm not going to, because I've got a sprinkler head right there, and sometimes practicality dictates what you can plant. But the rest of this pretty soon will just be absolutely solid, which will not only be aesthetically beautiful and I think emotionally gorgeous, especially in the spring, but also it will serve to really keep all of this ground moist and retain that kind of moisture because of the living mulch. All of this is living mulch, and with the drip irrigation that runs through it, it will eventually obscure it completely, and you know, hopefully and ultimately it will completely finalize the vision that I had for this area right here. So this trio that I have told you about ad nauseum, but it has been so successful, and that is the combination here of this Miss Lemon, Abelia, the lemon lime Nandina, and the white wedding hydrangeas. Absolutely spectacular, with the punctuation of color from the carnation encore azalea. So, but this is more about spring, even though I'm showing it to you in the fall, and I will be sharing later in upcoming segments, in upcoming videos, what kind of bulbs I am going to match with Lemon Lane to pair this with that. But let's take a break here, because right now it's all about Autumn's Edge, and it could not be more beautiful in my humble opinion. So right now, it is absolutely breathtaking. There is nothing like backlighting to illuminate a good garden design. And I think I really love the way that this has been transported into just kind of another whole aesthetic by virtue of the planting combinations. Now, what you may not be able to see through here, but maybe you can, is just a little glimpse through some of the foliage, like this gar that I've got here, and through it, it's transparent stems to the pumpkin behind it. And you get, as you look through the garden, you can see just different examples of that, where there are bright orange gourds that kind of penetrate through the foliage that you can see through. But let's talk now about another one of my favorite. Again, I have discussed this ad nauseum, you guys, but it seems like every season, as it begins to mature and as it begins to more completely come into its own, I want to share it with you. And that is, I started to say this was one of my favorite Southern Living Plant Collection trios, but really this is a quartet. Maybe even a quintet. Is that the appropriate expression, a quintet?
Maybe.
Based on what all you include. But in this trio right here, you can capture the spires. And this year, I instead of rounding it, I really let it grow taller. And I love the way these spires, the lankiness of the orange rocket barberry looks with these now heavenly blooming kaleidoscope abelia. I can't say enough about how much I love the fact that they are blooming this time of year. And I love this kind of russet red color of the stems and how it echoes the color of the barberry. Can you see that, Stuart?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'll show
Yeah,
you.
just, okay, like the stems here. Okay, look at the color of these stems.
Let me get down here in the shade. Yeah, there it is.
Okay, and how perfectly it echoes the color of the barberry. And then how the tips of the barberry leaves are a little bit chartreuse and green, and they complement the beauty of the abelia foliage. So I always thought Miss Lemon Abelia was my favorite, but now it's kind of like my kids. It's just the one I'm with is my favorite. So now Kaleidoscope is just really, really fabulous. So in addition to this, there are other plants that I think are so easy care, drought tolerant once they get established. I think commune together beautifully aesthetically. And to that, this twin pairing right here, I would then add in the distance, if you can see it right there, the Fire Chief Arborvitae. And see how it is tinged red on the tips?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking I need to add another one down here. I've got one that I need to transplant, and it might need to come down here a little bit lower on the slope. But that Fire Chief Arborvitae, I've got 4 of them up there, and they're absolutely spectacular in this trio. So from this vantage point right here, you can see how beautifully they all look together. Beautiful, they all look together, and then the pumpkins in the distance. And then because you need a textural contrast, and all of those have beautiful textural distinction. But if you want to add on to that, we have here this fabulous Obsession Nandina. And I think some of these Nandinas, the Lemon Lime Nandina and the Obsession Nandina are some of the most underrated plants in the Southern Living Plant Collection. They don't have any of the issues that the traditional Nandina do. But look at how beautiful they look, even with this rose foliage that's starting to turn gold.
Look how pretty they look on the screen.
Yeah, they just look beautiful. So this rose foliage is starting to turn gold. And then there's this rhythm and repetition of them up and down the space. And then, of course, you've got some perennials that look beautiful with them. And this is a Dazzler sedum. And I'll have to look up the exact name. I want to say Fire Dazzle or something like that. But look at the color echoes there. And even in its dried russet state, it looks beautiful and is so, so easy to propagate. And then in the distance as a backdrop, you've got the gold of the Sunshine Ligustrum that you can see with the sun shining through it. But then, because some of this is not evergreen, you need the visual weight of an evergreen presence. And that's why I have these Better Boxwood Villages. So I've got those here. They are growing up, and they are just wonderful to kind of give a certain kind of cadence up and down this wall. And then in these pockets here, I can have my tulips in the springtime, which is always a big fave. So I'll have my tulips in the springtime, but for right now, I think they just look really beautiful. And Stuart can show you here some of the drone shots we took. It does not escape me how lucky I am to have this beautiful garden and the weather conditions right now that can support it. So let me just be quiet for a moment, let you really enjoy it yourself. Imagine that you're just out here wandering in the cool of an evening, and then I've got some final thoughts. Well, Stuart and I have been doing lots of droning, and we've mostly been doing that hopefully for your benefit so you can see how beautiful things look right now and how much they've filled out. But I'm also doing it again for a practical purpose, and that is I'm going to be looking at the elevation from on high, looking down below, and then I'm going to, in my head or maybe in real life, subtract out all of the things that are in bloom and that are deciduous and that will not be in bloom and leafed out over the winter, because I want these two upper terraces to have as much winter interest as possible. Now, I've done that mostly, as you guys know, with boxwood. I have boxwood balls, I've got better boxwood balls, I've got some Green Mountain boxwood balls, and they are kind of scattered throughout. But some of them are not quite as mature as I would like them to be. So I'm really going to analyze those photos and see, you know, devoid of all of these deciduous things, what remains in terms of evergreens. And I am thinking, I'm intuiting that I need something else evergreen right here. And this will be where this touch of gold holly comes in. I've got enough boxwood, I think, but I love the fact that this simulates the look of a holly, or excuse me, of a boxwood, but it's got this kind of chartreusey foliage. It communicates well with lemon lane, and I think it will be beautiful here. The other thing is it likes a little bit of protection. So if indeed this looks like the space where I need to have more evergreen interest, I'm going to introduce it on this side. Now, that might mean I have to move things around a little bit, and if so, that's okay, because this is the perfect time of year to do that. Fall is not only for planting, fall is also for transplanting. So let me come over to the other side and I'll show you that same principle on this east side of the border, which is in more full sun right now, and you can see I've got one placed in here. And I'm thinking, again, I'm intuiting based on where the other ones are, that in this area I might need some more evergreen weight, because remember, these eugenias are going to go into the greenhouse. These large topiaries, which are providing such substantial visual weight, those are going to go into the greenhouse this winter, and they will not be here. And so I need to introduce, in addition to some of the boxwood that's here, I think I want to introduce a little bit more evergreen interest. So in will come another touch of gold holly over here, and I think that'll be just the ticket. I have a third one that right now is just hanging out in a container planting. It might go in the beds somewhere. But then in the growing season, this gold will really harmonize with all of the sunshine ligustrum that I've got over here and some of the other gold touches that I've got on the west side. So everything has to communicate with one another. Nothing is in isolation. It's my theory of garden relativity. Every one thing relates to every other thing in the garden. And what is really relating really well right now is autumn's edge. So Stuart, right here, let's put some of that fabulous drone footage you put of what the border looks like on the east side along that brick wall. close this Wednesday walkabout on a serious note. So many of you have inquired about my sister Terry that lives in Nebo, North Carolina, and how she is doing. And happily, her home escaped the flooding. Now, she doesn't have any power, she doesn't have any utilities, but thankfully, her home is safe, and so are the chickens. But that is not the case with so many of you in North Carolina, in the Asheville area, and surrounding areas. My heart really goes out to all of you who are suffering now, not only in the moment of the extreme of the storm, but now afterwards. So a couple of people have made an outreach to me of could I use my channel here to help get support to those who need it, or help get whatever kind of assistance I could maybe drum up for them. So please, if you've got ideas, send them my way. I will be happy to share them here on my YouTube channel. I'll be happy to share them on Instagram. Let us know where there are places where we could send financial or physical support to gardens, to nursery centers, to places where seed is produced, any of those kinds of things, because it's so important that we keep those businesses thriving. So if you've got ideas, please send them my way. I will do everything I can to help, because we're all in this together. Gardeners are a wonderful community, and it's time we all step up. So there you go. Thanks for joining me on this Wednesday walkabout. It was really special for me, and I hope it was special for you as well.